Hi everyone, this is Kathy with PACU Nursing Minutes. Today I just want to come to you and ask for a moment of silence for the 2,977 lives that were lost on 9/11. I remember that day very well. I was a nurse working in a medical ICU on the East Coast at a level 1 trauma hospital. And I remember grand rounds beginning and one of our intubated patients looking up and pointing up to the TV as the first plane hit the first tower. And then I also remember with my patient looking up at the news and seeing the second plane go into the second tower. At that point, our grand rounds ended. Many of my coworkers, we all have family and friends that work up in New York City. So grand rounds ended. And I'll never forget that day because in our medical ICU, we had 3 codes ourselves, which we got ROSC on all of them, thankfully. But what we ended up doing in our medical ICU was we got put on standby for code Delta, which means mass trauma and death. But the plan was for patients in New York City to be flown to Philadelphia, patients from Philadelphia to be flown to our hospital so that we could open up ICU beds in the city. So we were moving people out of the ICU, trying to open up vented beds so that we could take in patients. And then the other thing that we did with our code Delta is all of the ambulances and the EMS, they lined up in the back of our hospital. And what they ended up doing, we probably ended up having about 39 ambulance rigs with EMS techs, with paramedics who can do ACLS. And what they asked of us from the hospital is to empty out as much respiratory supplies and IV supplies that we could. So what we did is we went into our core and we, dumped out all of our airway stuff, our non-rebreathers, our simple masks, our nasal cannulas, as many oxygen tanks as we could spare, and then our IV kits and our IV fluids. And so the paramedics and the EMS, they all left in a caravan with the ambulances to go from Delaware, the tri-state area, up to New York, and hospitals from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania, from Maryland, from Virginia, from all over, just converged into New York City. And they set up a mock mass casualty, intake for health, for care. And the saddest thing was, unfortunately, as we all know, there were no survivors. All of our rigs came back by 1 a.m. that night, and it was very solemn. And so, again, I just want to have a moment of silence for all of the lives that were lost, for the kids who were left fatherless or motherless from those who were, part of 9/11, where they died in the towers, trying to escape, and then also from the Flight 93 crash in Pennsylvania. All of those lives and the heroism that was shown by the people on board that plane. And then all of the people who were a victim of the Pentagon attack. So, may we never forget 9/11. It was a horrible, horrible attack on American soil. And so many lives were lost. And so I just want to lift them up in prayer and in a moment of silence.